Sziasztok! Ma a Régi Vitézek egy különleges adását láthatjátok. A mai adásban nem Janival és Ádámmal fogunk beszélgetni, hanem egy interjút nézhettek meg, amit Flavius Stilichóval, azaz Géza Frankkal készítettem. Ő egy professzionális újrajátszó, aki a késő antikkori, illetve késő császárkori korszakot mutatja be. Ezen kívül több rendezvénynek is szervezője, mint például a Carnuntumi késő antikkori fesztiválnak, illetve a Flavium Frigidum rendezvénynek is. De hogy mi is az, amit ő pontosan képvisel, és mi az, amit ő szeretne bemutatni, azt megtudhatjátok a következő interjúból. És hát, miért is Régi Vitézeknek?
A Szent Háromságnak kinek imádkoznak, Krisztus másod személlyel. Régi vitézeknek, roppant seregeknek, győzhetetlen Istene. De hozzád kiáltok, kint katonád vagyok, vigy kérlek vitézségre.
Let's talk about the name Flavius Stilicho first. Who was or who is Flavius Stilicho, and why do you choose this name?
The name Flavius Stilicho, it was obviously inspired from the famous Roman, half Vandal Magister Militum from the late 4th and early 5th century. And I chose it at the time because I never had really the ambition to play an emperor, a Roman emperor. And I thought this guy is a well-known person, and also he stands for something that I like in the Roman Empire, namely this multiculturalism. And he's, yes, a very famous Roman general, but he's also half Vandal. And since some of my ancestors, they come also from what is now northern Poland, northern Germany, and all this area where the Vandals also settled in some area, I thought it was just fitting to have this person as my sort of historic example of the integration of somebody that's not originally from the Mediterranean into the Roman world. And and it's only later that I got associated with playing Roman emperors. So now the name is kind of a little bit obsolete, but it still stands for this idea. It still stands for the idea of the syncretic universal empire.
Why you choose to reenact the late antiquity and the Roman Empire, let's say? And what would you like to represent with the person, Flavius Stilicho?
So the interesting thing about the Roman Empire is, for me, really this ability to gather things, make them Roman in a way, but also help them survive. So there's a lot of identities, a lot of people, technology, traditions that flow into the Roman Empire, become part of the Roman Empire, survive through the Roman Empire, and enrich it also. And I think there's a lot of parallels with the world, the European world in which we are living today. And it also helps me today to find a connection with a lot of people that come maybe from the North African and Middle Eastern lands, especially in Western Europe, in Austria, etc. We have a lot of people that come from there. And whether we like it or not, they are there. And we need to find a way. And for me, this way, it's with the Roman heritage, because I know also some of their ancestors fought in the legions. And some of my ancestors fought also in the same legions. They have Roman ruins there, we have Roman ruins here, and they're our common heritage. So I find this fascinating that like 500 years later, or if you want to take the end of the classical era of the Roman Empire, over 1,000 years later, 1,600, 1,700 years later, I can still use this heritage to connect to a lot of different people, and to find a new identity for myself as a European, as an Austrian, and also a wider global identity, so to speak. And especially this figure of Flavius Stilicho, as I said, is inspiring in this regards for me.
So you say that in the 21st century, you can still use the Roman heritage to make contact, to communicate, or to build relationship with other people?
Basically, I started to discover the Roman Empire and all the abilities in cultural terms for today that this heritage gives us through reenactment. So as I organize big international late antiquity festivals, and late antiquity is a small scene in each country, there's only like a few people that do it, we need to really cooperate on a European scale. So when we do a late antiquity festival, like Romans Langobardorum as well, we have a lot of nationalities that come, because we need everybody. we can only survive as a late antiquity scene, we can only present something if we all work together. Especially with the Roman heritage, whether you're Slovak, Hungarian, Austrian, Italian, Syrian even, we all can represent this heritage. We all can reenact this heritage and work together in a reenactment event. And so when I realized this, I was like, well, why is it only in reenactment? Why not in today's world? Why can we not channel this heritage that brings us together in such a really great way, with friendship, with like common ambition, with like a common spirit, and really you see the historical spirit at work? Because everybody comes, yes, with their cultural heritage from their local tradition, but they can dial into this matrix of the Roman world and be also Roman together. And this is incredibly powerful. And so this power, I think we can harness it, not just for reenactment, but also for a wider cultural dialogue. And when I try it, I really see that it works. I see that it works everywhere I go.
You say that the Roman Empire, which was ended hundreds of years ago, still affects our daily life in Europe. Is it true?
So I think the Roman Empire's legacy
The legacy, yes.
informs actually our daily lives, yes. Because a lot of measurements, a lot of standards, a lot of legal thinking, a lot of things that we think are normal, we don't even really think consciously about them, but we just do them. A lot of the things we just do as a Western world, a Western society, they are things that are based on the Roman culture, that the Romans really introduced and they had for a specific reason at their time. For us today, it's just, we just do this is the normal. And so because we have that, and we can really share into that, by making ourselves more aware of it, we can really dial into not just a common culture of today and a common awareness of the historical heritage, but we can really also dial into this culture of the day, of back then. This culture that, yes, maybe you grow up speaking Gallic, or you grow up speaking Dalmatian, or you grow up speaking, I don't know, Aramaic, but you still were Roman. You wear the Roman dress, you know the Roman codes, you speak Greek also maybe, and you are part of this wider world that can cooperate, that has a legal security from down the Red Sea to up Hadrian's Wall, Scotland. It's an amazing thing. The Roman Empire was bigger than even we manage today with the European Union. And of course, the European Union is young, but we're still, I think, not really understanding as a society how powerful this cultural matrix of the Roman Empire really was. We're desperately trying today, at least some countries or some people in Europe are desperately trying to do something like that, but they really also desperately do not want to associate it with the Roman Empire because it's historicism, and Mussolini tried to do that as well, but in a really clumsy way. Mussolini didn't understand the Roman Empire really.
Of course.
Yeah? So once we
But
look
we
past,
associate it.
yes, especially in Italy, they associate it a lot, and it's unfortunate, but that's not the historic reality. That's our historic mistake, and we need to be able to accept that, but also look past it and move past it. We need to try and understand the Roman historical cultural reality. That doesn't mean that we want to bring back gladiator games, or that we want to bring back slavery, or that we want to have the equality between women and men abolished or something. No, that's not about that. What we want is to focus on this really core, central mode of thinking, mode of seeing the world from the Roman perspective, which means to bring back more beauty, more serenity also, bring back more philosophy, bring back more tolerance, but a realistic tolerance. So a tolerance that has the clear defined red lines, not just a universal tolerance which doesn't know any limits. And I think there's a lot of very mature, very adult political philosophy also to be found in the Roman politicians and the great Roman statesmen. Something that the statesmen of today, I think, really should study again and learn it. So if I look at historical figures like Julius Caesar, like Pompey, like Cicero, etc., I see so much more maturity there in many ways. And I find it inspiring, and I find it worth to be studied and to be aware of it. Not to repeat it, that will never happen, but to be more aware and to form ourselves also in this type of image with the Roman virtues like dignity, gravitas, and all of these kind of things in mind.
I saw in the social media that you were in a European Union organized event. What was it about and what was it exactly?
That's a very good question. So I'm involved in several projects that are funded by the European Union, like Interreg projects or Erasmus project. But I'm also involved with the political dialogue in a way, from a philosophical and cultural perspective. And so we have several projects where we want to try to bring together students and school children from different countries to teach them not just the dates, the facts, the names, the personalities of the Roman Empire, but more, this cultural identity. And this we can only teach to people or make them realize by experience, through experience. And reenactment, for example, is a really great way. For example, here now, as again, with all these nations, that we dial into the same culture, the same heritage. It's not something that they borrow or we borrow, it's something genuine. You know, I'm Austrian, I have a genuine heritage from the Roman Empire. They are Croats, they have a genuine heritage from the Roman Empire. And even Polish people, they have a genuine cultural heritage of the Roman Empire, even if it was not territorially in the Roman Empire. Still, a lot of the modern state is based on it. And so we want to bring this to school children all across Europe, maybe also the Middle East, maybe also North Africa. And we want to make politicians and students more aware of this and of this potential. And there, it's really great to have the support of the European Union through various mechanisms and ways, because they are aware that literally what they are trying to do with the European Union project, it's basically to recreate a sort of geopolitical reality of the Roman Empire.
Which historical events are you organizing and are you organized before? Let's just make some example to the audience that they know that what are you involved in, what are you involving in nowadays.
So I'm fortunate enough that I live next to one of the most important Roman museums of late antiquity, which is the Roman Museum of Carnuntum in Austria. It was the largest Roman city on the Danube, and it also hosts today the largest reconstructed buildings in situ of the late antiquity. So it's a unique site in the world, and I'm very fortunate to be very involved with the museum. And for many years I have organized there the largest late antiquity festival in the world, the Late Antiquity Festival of Carnuntum. And it's now being transformed into an international reenactment workshop, where we bring international reenactment groups there to exchange, to learn, to better our practice, to become better and more professional reenactors. And it also hosts the Great Roman Festival, where we are also involved with late antiquity. And then I'm fortunate enough to also be involved with the municipality of Ajdovština in Slovenia, which is very close to one of the largest battlefields of antiquity, which was the Battle of the River Frigidus, which happened in the year 394 AD between the Roman Emperor Eugenius, which was a usurper from the Western territories, and the Roman Emperor Theodosius I from the Eastern territories, which ended with the victory of Theodosius, and which really cemented this Christianization of the Roman Empire for the centuries to come, and which absolutely was a pivotal moment in history and a pivotal moment in Roman history. And we are now doing a great reenactment event there, next to the battlefield, next to the River Frigidus, to show to the Slovenian people also that we all care also about their Roman heritage.
And if you mention Slovenia, I know that you organized a group for this ultra trail.
So our involvement with the ultra trail Vipava Valley, which is based in Ajdovština, Slovenia, where we do the Battle of the River Frigidus event, it came about as an idea from the organization team of the ultra trail. They brand the entire trail because of the proximity to the battlefield with this ancient historical warrior kind of ethos. So all the branding of the event is already antiquity and Theodosius and all of this. And so they said, oh, we want to have some reenactors there as the kind of mascots or like the branding of the event. So already last year in 2024, we were there as reenactors, just representing the period, adding a bit of historical flair, supporting the event like that. And then I came up with the idea to also have a historical competition there. So not just to be there while the modern runners do incredible sportive milestones, but to also be with the runners as reenactors, to actually also compete physically as a reenactor. So oftentimes reenactors are mostly sitting somewhere having fun, doing it as a hobby, maybe a little bit of battle, maybe some are a bit sportive, but it's never really in the focus. So the traditional reenactment event has a format, and I want to look for formats outside of this. I want to find new formats. I want to surprise the people. When normal people audience comes to a museum, they expect when there's a reenactment event that there is reenactors. But people that go to an ultra trail event, to a marathon, or to something else that has nothing to do with reenactment, they don't expect reenactors there. And it's very surprising then for them if suddenly there's reenactors there, and they also do something very cool, namely walk the trail with them, run the trail with them, but with the historical armor. And this kind of suffering, this really exposing yourself to the historical reality as good as we can, that was hugely inspiring for the runners. There's a lot of runners from this ultra trail that came to me and said, I was already almost giving up, and then I saw suddenly in front of me these legionaries walking with the shield, with the armor, suffering completely, and I was thinking of those original soldiers of Rome, or the original historical people that walked here and decided the fate of Europe here, and it gave me so much power and motivation to plow on. And this was not just Slovenians, this was people from all over the world. They said the same thing. And our guys, our reenactors that participated and did this 30 kilometers with a complete armor, shield, historical shoes, historical everything, they also said it was absolutely excruciating. They were on the complete limits of their body because the terrain there is super steep and very rough. It goes up and down for 1,600 meters up and down. And but this motivated them so much. Also the knowledge that they are near to this original battlefield, that they said, okay, we are plowing through. And then at the end, it was just really inspiring to see that despite the pain, despite the hardship, everybody said we want to do it again, and we want to make it even bigger, and we want to get more reenactors involved, and maybe make even something like the World Championship of Roman legionaries.
So we can expect that the next year it will be held again. So and
It
people
will
can join
definitely.
it.
So next year it will be on the second last weekend of April. It will be again, and we will have the reenactors there again. And we want to try and really have two things. One is the 30-kilometer march through the mountains. That's open for every time period. Everybody can come, from Napoleonic, World War to a Stone Age, can participate in it. And then there's the other thing which we want to specifically tailor to the antiquity, to the different armies of antiquity, where it's about a legionary kind of championship. So there is not just marching, but also building the tent efficiently and fastly, how fast they can make a fire with historical means. And so it's inspired by modern military multi-purpose challenges. So I'm also an officer in the Austrian Army. I've been in the Austrian Army now serving for 20 years. And there we do these multi-purpose, multitask challenges regularly, where you have to do 80 kilometers we do with modern equipment, and you have to build a radio station, repair a radio relay, for example. You have to throw the grenade, you have to shoot, target shoot, you have to rope down from some steep hills, you have to build a shelter, you have to make a fire, you have to climb over some obstacles together as a team with all your equipment, and all these things you have to navigate. And so we want to do something like that, but for the legionaries, and really with the historical teams, the historical capacities that the legionaries needed to have, really as a focus. And we want not just this to be inspiring for the modern runners, but also for the reenactors, so that they have a really prestigious, high-quality event, competition, where they train for that and they become better at it. Because through competition, through friendly competition, we really become much better and focused on the right things. And so we hope that this will inspire the entire Roman reenactment world, and also the Germanic and barbarian world around, to become more proficient in all these skills you need.
How you built up your character and how you started this reenactment. I saw you a couple of times in Romance Longobardo room, and I saw also that your set, your clothes are changed. How you started it, where are you now, and what's the goal for the future?
So it all started with me just having a general interest in late antiquity. I grew up in an archaeologist family also, and so I was just a general interest and a hobby, and I liked it, and I wanted to try and participate in some reenactment events, which I did for the first time really in 2013 in France. It was a large late antiquity battle with 500 participants. It is still today the largest one. And in this battle, I was training a lot of fencing at the time. And so I won all the tournaments, I won all the things. I was the only Roman that won. And suddenly they made me into this hero figure there at the reenactment, which was super cute. It was super nice. And the next time this event was held, they already made me like the bodyguard boss of the main commander. And that was in 2015. And then in 2017, the event was again. It was all 2 years. And in 2017, they made me already the commander of the Roman side, because again, I won all the fencing competitions, etc. at the time. And also I changed my equipment to be according to this social position. But at the start, really, my goal was never to be a general or an emperor even. It was not on my radar. I really wanted just to be some sort of a mirror of the person that I am also in the 21st century. I didn't want to pretend to be something else. So in the 21st century, who am I? I'm Geza Frank. I have a upbringing in Austria, like ancestors from all over Europe. I play music and I'm in the army. So I wanted to do something that's the same in history as I do in my real life. And so in my real life, at the time, I was a lieutenant, so I didn't aim much higher than that in the reenactment. But suddenly they made me the commander, and after a few years, they suggest me I should become emperor and play this emperor, because we don't have an imperial figure in late antiquity. So I said no 8 times. Or actually 7 times I said no, and the 8th time they didn't let me down from the shield. There is this ceremony which comes from the Germanic world, where they lift the captain up to the shield and then proclaim him emperor. So this happened 7 times, and I always said, well, thank you, but no, because it's also very expensive to play this figure, and I'm not super rich or anything. So it's stressful for the money and for your own standards, your own quality standards, if you want to do it right. So I said no all the time. But then I started to organize this festival in Carnuntum, which became more and more legendary, and really there was this feeling of a modern day Camelot. Once a year, all the scene came to this magical place. Really enjoyed the place. There was legends that were born. There was like such an atmosphere, such a motivation and a vibe. And it really felt like this kind of modern Camelot that came real. And so at some point they didn't let me from the shield, and I said, okay, let's do it. Let's fucking do it. And the year after, it was the first time that we reenact ever. Since the days of the Roman Empire, it was the first time that we reenact a full imperial Adventus of late antiquity in Carnuntum, and we had the full protocol and everything. And it just felt magical. And I've been asked to play different late antiquity emperors ever since. And so it was a natural progression from just being lucky in the fights, being asked to be a commander, and then suddenly, boom, to being asked to be the emperor. So it felt like really a late antiquity story,
So what are you doing when you're creating your character, your armors, your clothes? What are you using? How you do the research for this? What's the most important points in this?
So it's a good question. My research, it looks generally, it's a lot of exchange. So I find the people that really did the most research on a certain topic, and I talk with them about my hypothesis, my ideas. And if they say, no, well, actually your ideas are wrong because we have this and this and this evidence, and it points to this and this reality, and so what you think it cannot be, then I change my opinion. So I'm like, oh, okay, yes, actually you're right. So mainly my research is, well, of course, reading some articles. I usually don't read monographies, like books just written for one topic. I don't do that. I read specific articles on specific archaeological contexts, and I talk a lot with other reenactors, and I talk a lot with other historians, and I talk a lot with archaeologists, and I read especially a lot the original sources, the people from the time and what they tell us, and I read also the commentaries on that, so that I don't make the mistake of not understanding the precise context and also the language. So it's a very long process of research, and I need to correct it frequently. So frequently I have maybe an idea, and then I find out, no, this doesn't work. So I need to correct it. So your earlier question about why my panoply change all the time, it's because of this. Because I constantly try to stay on the cutting edge of what is the current knowledge. We have also then the material question. I constantly need to study about which materials to best use. I need to find who are the craftspeople that make those materials in the best possible way. I like to go really from the underwear till the last little detail, as close as I can, financially and also technically, to the originals. So a lot of my stuff is hand woven, is plant dyed, obviously, it's all hand sewn, of course. But I try to also have it all woven into shape as much as it's possible, because that's the technique that the economy at the time would mostly allow them. So it becomes quite abstract already. And yeah, that's a constant process, and it's very stressful because I have now a lot of stuff because of this imperial character that I was asked to do. I try to at least give a tiny fraction of this pomp that they would have. I mean, let's be honest, playing a Roman emperor today, if you're not a billionaire, it will always just be some LARPing.
Yeah.
So me, for the historical accuracy, I much prefer when I play a simple soldier or a peasant, because I can be much more accurate and sincere in what I show. And that's also what I really recommend to every reenactor. Have at least one super simple kit, but which is so completely accurate and authentic as it's possible technically, because then at least you have something that is really, really sincere. If you want to play then somebody that is much richer in history than you are today, which is the case for most reenactors,
Yes.
then okay, make it at least look pompous, make it look nice, but don't try to tell people that it's the real deal. The real deal is mostly the simple stuff that we do. And so I always tell the people also about my imperial display. Look, I try to make it look as nice as possible. I try to have some very important elements like my clothes. I can have them really, really close to the originals. So I spend thousands of euros actually on my clothing. My clothing is the most expensive part, not my armors, not my swords, not my helmets. It's my clothing, because I really want to have it woven and dyed in the best way. So even my purple cloak, it has at least one corner that is dyed with real Murex purple, and you can even smell it. It has been hand woven from real, the same silk that they would use at the time with the same thread count. It has been woven with a real gold thread tableon inside. That's as far as I can go. And then for other things, there is just a limit from what the archaeology tells us, and we haven't found a lot of imperial things. There's a limit from what we know, and there's a limit of my budget. And I'm always very sincere in communicating that. And as long as you're open to criticism, open to constantly work on things, and you're also realistic about the goals that you can achieve, I think you will inevitably increase the level and the experience also for the audience of your display. And that's what I recommend to every reenactor. Be constantly in exchange with other reenactors. Never be arrogant. Always listen to the critique of others. Always doubt yourself. Always question yourself. That's the most important exercise. Never to be totally sure about yourself. That's maybe the unglamorous advice I can give.
Final question. Can you describe how a season looks like for you? What are you doing in this reenactment season?
My years are always very busy from end of March until end of October. That's basically the season. So I'm booked every weekend. And it's not just reenactment, but I have also a folk band. I play in an Irish folk band, and I play also in a medieval fantasy fun band with really great musicians. So it's either I'm away on a festival like Romans Langobardorum, where I come with my entire display and do some reenactment and help organize also some stuff, or I organize an event like the Battle of Frigidus, like in Carnuntum, or like some reenactment survival camps that I also organize. Or I play at some medieval market with some friends. It has nothing to do with reenactment, it's just the music and the fun for the people. Or I play with at big festivals, actually quite big music festivals, Celtic music festivals with my Irish band. And then sometimes during the week I'm in the army, so I'm constantly busy. So during the week it's that I'm in the modern army, in the weekend I come, do reenactment or music, and then I try to also sometimes have a bit of time to plan other events and more events. And that's most of the time actually. So it's very little time for other things at the moment. And I notice it also at such events, because I used to do a lot of training in fencing and martial arts and this, and now I just really have to prioritize other things, and you can kind of notice it after a while. But I'm now 37, so should the younger ones also take over, it's good.